What's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to Shaw Locals Bears Insider Podcast. I am Kyle Nabors, along with Sean Hammond here. It is Friday, January 5th. It is insanely, Sean. I do not know how we reached it already. It is the last week of the regular season, and it is the last week of the season for the Chicago Bears. They have been eliminated from postseason contention, but they get a chance to go up to Green Bay this weekend, Sean, and play spoiler.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's kind of a nice full circle moment here on the season. You can feel like you'll be able to wrap this thing up in a bow at no matter what happens. We're gonna see if they've made obviously they've made progress throughout the year, but it's kind of a fun measuring stick after the way they started week one and all the buildup for that game. And obviously that was a letdown. They gave up 38 points and got beat pretty bad in the second half of that game. And now you can see how they will fare the second time around against their number one rival, the Green Bay Packers.
It was such a disappointment back in week one, and obviously the 0-4 start, and really how ugly and how quickly that descended. And at that point, it really didn't look like Matt Eberflus was going to survive this season. The Bears were at a 14-game losing streak. Obviously, that narrative has changed a lot, and already this morning I can see people in the chat who are joining us live here on YouTube and on Twitter. Trying Twitter, they've updated some of their integration with live streaming. So got that going on here today on the Bears Insider account. See if we can get some people. I see a comment in here already coming in from Twitter. But the talk already in the chat this morning about Matt Eberflus's future with the team, with the way the season started, Sean, like I was saying, at 0-4 with that loss to Green Bay, I didn't expect that we would be going into week 18 here, where if a lot hinges on this game. I feel like maybe not as much internally at Hallis Hall, but definitely externally. You go out and beat the Green Bay Packers. That's going to make a pretty good case for Matt Eberflus and his staff. They go out and lose. You bookend it with the way things started. That's going to be something that's not a good place. I feel like it's not a place fans are going to be happy ending at. Is what I'm trying to say here.
I think this game does matter in the court of public opinion. And
Yeah,
I think it really matters to the fans. I think if you're the GM, I don't necessarily think it matters. If it's me, I don't think that a win or a loss in this game is going to decide what you're going to do with Matt Eberflus or Justin Fields or Luke Getsy. But obviously you want to win every game. So certainly you're trying to pick up a win here against your rival who you haven't beaten in 5 years.
That's insane.
5 years. The Packers have won 24 of the last 27, dating back to 2010. That's just, I can't get over that number. That is wild in the NFL, where the league basically pushes every team into the middle towards 500. You have a good year, you got the last draft pick. You have a bad year, you got the first. All that stuff. And there's so much parity. It's kind of crazy. I know Aaron Rodgers was a big part of that and a big reason why those numbers are so lopsided. But
I'm knocking a headphone out already. You'd think, just like the laws of probability there, like 24-3, like in the NFL, as you were saying, like with the mediocre that is everyone and kind of being pushed towards that middle, that percentage, you'd think they'd luck into at least 6 wins in that time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to lose 24 out of 27 against a single opponent, no matter who's who's the quarterback, no matter what. And so I think this game does matter in the fact that if you win this game, if you beat the Packers, you can go into the offseason and you can say, we beat the Packers, we beat the Vikings, we outplayed the Lions for 2 games and beat them in 1, and you can absolutely make that argument to yourself, to free agents, to whoever, that you are right there in the NFC North heading into 2024.
I completely agree with you. With the way things started, if you end this year with consecutive wins in your division against the Vikings, Lions, and Packers, you finish the year 6-2. with improvement really across the board here at the position, pretty much across the board at any position. But in particular at the quarterback position, there's no doubt Justin Fields has played better as well coming back post injury. And again, like you're looking for improvement, not just on the field as a team, but at an individual position by position level. I think, Matt Eberflus can make that case, but again, this weekend is going to play a big factor in that public opinion.
Yeah. And look, I mean, everyone I talked to New Year's Eve and in the days since that game, it seems like a large portion of this fan base wants to see Justin Fields back, or maybe that's just the recency bias. He had a really nice game last week against Atlanta, and things were looking good. But certainly, everyone who how it goes, Kyle. You and I go to a social event, and everyone's asking about the Bears, and certainly it seems like a lot of people are behind Justin Fields right now. Obviously, we heard the chants at the stadium. It just seems like the fan base knows what they want.
I completely agree. I think overall throughout the season, a majority of the fan base has been on the side of Justin Fields all along, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was he definitely took a bit of a beating and lost some support early in the year, but that's come storming back over these last 5 weeks or so. I think you see that both at the fan level, you see that at the talking heads across the nation, whether that's ESPN, Fox, wherever you look at. Like the debate has changed all of a sudden from like the Bears have to draft Caleb Williams, at number one to like all of a sudden you're seeing a lot of pieces of like, has Justin Fields done enough? And Chase Daniel, JT O'Sullivan, but even at the national level, I'm thinking of Dan Orlovsky this week had a piece talking about Justin Fields and how the Bears need to keep like all of a sudden you're hearing this debate a lot more, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know how much do you think that public perception will have an impact on the decision making at Hallis Hall?
I don't think it will. I don't think it should. I think Ryan Poles is probably trying to insulate himself from those conversations, from all the talking heads, from people like us who analyze this stuff, every week and week in, week out with every win and loss. I don't think that Ryan Poles is going to take those types of opinions into account. I mean, I think he will take, a handful of voices that he really trusts. Ian Cunningham, of course, being one of them, his assistant GM. Maybe, if he's keeping Matt Eberflus, certainly Matt Eberflus is going to have a say in what happens at quarterback. And so I don't think that should matter. I really don't. I mean, I know that Justin has played well lately, but you have to look at this thing as a whole, and you have to look at his whole season, his whole career. Do you believe he's the quarterback that's going to get you over the top? Is he a good quarterback that can win some games for you? Yeah, definitely. I believe that. I think he can win some football games. Is he the quarterback that's going to take you to the Super Bowl? I don't know. And that's kind of what he has to figure out. And I think, it's you can't let the recency bias, you can't let what people are saying, what fans are saying affect your decision, because ultimately, if you're Ryan Poles and you screw this up, it's your job.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Because here's the thing, and to be completely clear, it's funny. I went back. I always try and make sure to read the YouTube comments from like our previous episodes, Sean. I don't know if you looked at them. We took a lot of flack actually from the people in the comments, at least saying anti Justin Fields, which I find to be a little silly, because I've been pretty much universally in Justin Fields' corner all season long, and I continue to be in that case. I think Justin Fields should be the Chicago Bears quarterback next season. At the end of the day, I believe he's shown enough progress that this is the way to go. You've got a core in place. I think resetting it with a rookie quarterback, you're rolling the dice. Like, you have no idea, not just long-term, but like this team is now to a point where they should be expected to compete for the division next year. They should be expected to be a playoff team. that can challenge for 11 or 12 wins. In the history of the NFL, I have a hard time seeing a lot of rookie quarterbacks that are able to get you that place. There's a much higher chance that Justin Fields gets you to 11 or 12 wins next year. Now, that being said, if you don't get that progression out of the quarterback position, you're still going to, like, if Justin Fields doesn't progress from where he is right now, you're going to struggle to get to 11 or 12 wins. Probably you might be a playoff team. You might improve from 7 or 8 wins to 9 or 10 wins. Is that enough to feel confident, to be on that bubble? And that's where Ryan Poles is making that decision, and where it's a football decision. It shouldn't be about the contract. It shouldn't be about off-field stuff. It should be, has Justin Fields shown enough to this front office and this coaching staff for them to think he's going to take the next step on the football field next year with this roster?
This is going to be a fun offseason, Kyle, because you and I are going to disagree on this one. I'm going to go on the other side and say that I think they need to draft a quarterback. I know, we're jumping into offseason talk already. There's still a game to play here, but this is fun. Obviously, this is what everyone's talking about. Look, Justin Fields has one 300-yard game in his career, passing wise. Let me throw this. That obviously this is an impossible scenario, but if you can draft, if you hit on your quarterback, you're looking at, a CJ Stroud type guy. Like, that's kind of like a good comp as far as just very broadly. He was the quarterback who seems to be a hit in this past draft. If you take CJ Stroud and drop him into next year's Bears, how good are you feeling?
You're feeling really good.
You're feeling really good. Yeah. Obviously, you have to get that pick right. Like, if you screw the pick up, like, that's gonna sink the ship for the next however many years, and you're gonna be in trouble. But in my opinion, I think you've seen a lot of Justin Fields. You've seen a lot of good things. You've seen some bad things too. Is he a top 10 to 15 quarterback potentially in the league? Yes, I absolutely think he can be that. Is he the one who's, are you going to win because of him? I'm not sure. Obviously, you love what he does with his legs, but I just think you can have a mobile quarterback, but you got to be able to throw the football too. And I just think that they need to find somebody who can excel in that area of the game a little bit better. And I think I know that, I saw the comments or quotes from, I think Courtney Cronin had a story at ESPN, and there was an anonymous player that said, does that mean we're wasting another year with a rookie quarterback? And I just think, like, if you get the right guy, it's not going to matter. You're going to have a good season next year, and it's going to set you up for the next 4 to 5 years.
My contention, though, is that 9 times out of 10 in the NFL, you're not going to get the right guy. And this isn't a bust situation with Justin Fields. It's, can he get to the next step? This isn't a Mitch Trubisky. This isn't even a end of the road. Like, you've gotten the most out that you can out of Jay Cutler. Like, you've seen the ceiling there. That's not progressing. There's still upside here. I think people too easily think that it's going to be plug and play, that it's worth that chance. Like, you look at it, particularly here, if you're the coaching staff, right? Let's assume here, and this is a different situation, right? I'm sure people talking about this in the chat. Mm-hmm. I haven't had a chance to really look over yet. This is a different situation, like if they clean house and the coaching staff is gone and stuff, right? But like,
that changes everything. Yeah.
Even CJ Stroud, I don't have I looked it up earlier in the week. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, I want to say, started 0-3 to start the year this year. Like, you look back, I think Trevor Lawrence, his rookie year, started 0-4. I mean, Trevor Lawrence coming out of college. I mean, you talk about the level of prospect, right? Trevor mm-hmm. Lawrence was compared to guys like Andrew Luck, one of the, this can't miss, surefire QB prospect. And he's in the same class as Justin Fields. And I would say he's kind of like, I'm not sure he's a franchise quarterback yet either. But like, what I'm trying to say here is, like, if Matt Eberflus and that staff is back, can they afford an 0-4 start or a slow start as they try and get a rookie quarterback up to speed? And does that play into their decision making?
No, that's fair. I mean, then we're going back to what we did with Nagy, what we did
Yeah.
with John Fox, with the rookie quarterback, and all that. But I also think this is different from those situations in that the Bears didn't earn the number one pick. They're not the worst team in football right now.
Yeah.
They have Carolina's pick. They're set up. They're much better. They're set up much better for a rookie quarterback than most teams picking at number one. I know they're not a playoff team, but certainly you've got some nice pieces. You've got a really good wide receiver in DJ Moore. You've got a defense that's playing really well right now. I would be surprised if even if you have a rookie quarterback, I would be surprised if this team gets off to an 0-3, 0-4 start like that.
Yeah, agreed. But I was pretty surprised they got off to an 0-3 and 0-4 start.
Well,
Again,
that's fair.
I mean, but the other thing here is it's not just the passing numbers, right? Or the rushing numbers or the overall statistics. A lot of what it comes down to in the NFL and having success at the quarterback position is intangibles, leadership. And I think that is something that you're seeing from this Bears locker room. The reason you're seeing such a push from his teammates is because of that leadership aspect. And I think that is something that is maybe being undervalued in this process. We have no idea, and that's what the next 3 months are going to be about, is we have no idea what type of a leader Caleb Williams is or what type of leader Drake May is. And that plays a huge, huge role into whether a quarterback is successful in this league or not.
No, that's a fantastic point. Like, Justin Fields does all the right things. You ask anybody in that locker room, he approaches his work the right way and puts in the extra time and all that stuff and has never been a distraction off the field, things like that. And Kyle, we don't know enough about Caleb Williams and Drake May. We haven't sat down with him one-on-one. We haven't talked to all his teammates. We can't really say at this point on January 5th whether he or Drake May, whether those guys are the right types of leaders for an NFL locker room. And you're right. I mean, that stuff matters. Certainly, if they do move on from Justin, that will not only be an unpopular decision among the fans, but that will be an unpopular decision in that locker room. And that matters. I mean, that for the players, that will sting for a little bit. And I know that, look, they're pros. They're going to have to, if that scenario plays out, they'll have to move on. But certainly that's going to ruffle some feathers.
It won't matter if Caleb Williams comes in and is a leader himself, if he commands that locker room, if he performs well early in his rookie year, if they were to draft him number 1 overall, I think pretty quickly those divisions would heal in the locker room. But if they did keep this coaching staff, but parted ways with Justin Fields and Caleb Williams came in and struggled, let's say they did get off to a slow start, like 1-3 or something like that, I think then you're talking about an instance where Matt Eberflus would really have a hard time keeping that locker room, I think.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, guys would certainly be second guessing that decision. You look at this team as a whole, like, you're set up well to compete next year. The defense is playing at a really high level. Certainly you're going to add some pieces on both sides of the ball too. I mean, you're going to get better. Regardless of the quarterback position, you're going to get better at some other spots. You got money in free agency. You got the draft picks. Like this, you do wonder, like, if they get off to a bad start, that would be the worst case scenario probably. And you don't want to lose a locker room. I just think that at the same time, like, these guys are pros. They're going to get over it pretty quickly. I think obviously you never want to see anybody go. But at the same time, like, the NFL, man, it moves fast, and you got, you got a game the next week, and once you get into that season, it's just routine and it's a grind.
You can, if you're a pro Fields fan, you can find Sean on Twitter or at Sean_Hammond and yell at him there. If you want the Bears to draft a quarterback, you can find me on Twitter at Kyle Nabors and yell at me over there. Of course, you can find all of our content at Bears_Insider on Twitter. You can also follow Sean on Instagram as well. He's there before every Bears game, talking with fans. And of course, go to shawlocal.com. All of our Bears content is up there. Mark Silverman's latest column is up as well. Posted that yesterday. Sean, as we're talking about Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus, I want to start transitioning to Matt Eberflus, but I want to quickly say when I say I'm pro Justin Fields and believe the Bears should keep him, I also am not an absolutist about this, right? Like, I think that is the smarter way to go, but I also think as long as it is a football decision, wouldn't have a problem if the Bears decided to move on. Like, there's a path to say. I'd say, like, I'm right now like 75-25, Sean, but I think like there are ways either way that this could work out.
There are multiple paths to success, and there's a million different ways to build a roster. And, it just kind of comes down to what Ryan Poles believes is going to set his organization up well for the future. Is that going to be sticking with Justin Fields and not rocking the boat and trying to run it back with these guys, and you deal with the contract stuff later? Maybe that's what he thinks, or, you use the pick and you get younger, you get a rookie contract at the quarterback spot. And obviously you're not going to do that if you don't believe in the guy. So, I mean, there's a million different ways. And look, you're right. Like, the coaching staff matters too. Like, are you keeping Flus? Are you keeping Getsy? All that stuff plays into what they're going to do here.
Yeah. Sean, what time do you got to get out of here to get up to Hallisall?
Whenever, man. We can talk all day.
We can talk all day. Okay. Just want to pay attention to time. I know we got started a little later than usual this morning. Yeah, I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, right? Because to me, if you are going to trade Justin Fields and you're going to move on to Justin Fields, I know you don't have to align your you don't have to align the head coach with the quarterback. Like, as you were saying, that's a bit overblown.
I think that's overblown. Yeah, I talked about that last time.
Yeah. With that being said, though, as we were going back to it, like, if it is a slow start, you're going to have to make a coaching change after the first year anyway. Like, again, like, I feel like if they're going to move away from Justin Fields, I think it just makes more sense to go ahead and make wholesale changes.
I understand why you say that. I just don't know that I don't know that the Bears are thinking that way. I don't know that Ryan Poles is thinking that way. This is my what my gut's telling me, as we're a couple, we should know by Monday. So we'll know in a few days what they're going to do with the head coach stuff. I think they're going to keep Eberflus, and I still think they can draft a quarterback, even if you keep him. I mean, I don't think that they think that way in terms of, like, it's got to be one or the other, wholesale changes or not. I just don't think that that's where Ryan Poles, where his head is at. I think that, he hired Matt Eberflus. He likes Matt Eberflus. He's defended him every chance he's gotten. I think to me, the bigger question is the offensive coordinator. Yeah. Do you want to make a change there if you're going to draft a quarterback? Because if you're keeping Fields, I don't think you want him learning another offense.
No, I mean, what do you make of Luke Getsy yesterday with a kind of a full-throated endorsement of Justin Fields?
I mean, I wasn't surprised by that. I think he's really liked working with Justin. I think obviously, like, that was the reason he was brought here, is to, like, work with this young quarterback and bring him to the next level. I think they've done a lot of good things together. Is it enough to save his job? I'm not sure. I think it really, I think these two was he making an argument to keep his job? Yeah, probably. Like, why wouldn't he? You know, he's talking in front of the cameras like, of course he wants this job. He likes this job. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. I just don't know. Yeah, like if
it's funny because like it's if it because you're like, on one hand, if they move on from Justin Fields, you're okay with like the coaching staff staying and then, you know, someone learning a new system. But if the coaching staff stays, like, or if Justin Fields stays, you want the coaching staff to stay so he doesn't have to learn a new system. You know what I'm saying?
No, I see that. That's totally a contradiction. And look, I think I mentioned last week too, like Justin Fields is a smart dude. He's going to pick up an offense pretty quickly. I don't really think that that's that big, maybe that big of a deal. But I mean, look, you fire the coordinator, you're firing the whole offensive staff, and you're hiring a completely new support system around Justin Fields. And I think that does matter. You know, is it reason not to make that change? Maybe not. I don't know.
That's where Ryan Poles better know the pulse of his building. Matt Eberflus better know the pulse of his building. At the end of the day, we're us talking heads, all fans, like, we're going to sit here and talk about this, ponder this, and we're going to act like these guys have some kind of crystal ball or some special insight. It's going to come down to they're going to make a gut decision. Like, this is like just what they're doing with Justin Fields. Like, it comes down to Ryan Poles is going to have to make a gut decision. How confident does everyone feel in that at this point? I don't know. I'm starting to feel relatively confident in Ryan Poles. You know, after a rocky start, I think you've seen enough progression out of the kids that they've drafted in these first couple drafts and what they've done in free agency. While a slow start has gotten better, I think I feel confident in Ryan Poles making that decision, Sean.
I think I do too. Look, every GM's going to make mistakes. You know, the Claypool thing wasn't great. You know, you can nitpick the draft picks. Certainly, Velus Jones hasn't been what you thought he would be. But overall, I think Ryan Poles has done a great job building what they've built to this point and setting themselves up. I mean, look, that trade with Carolina last year is looking more and more like he absolutely fleeced the Panthers. And
now the Panthers owner is just out there throwing water on
drinks
people,
at people,
chucking drinks at
his own fans.
What an idiot!
That was the weird story of the week. I come back to this. Look, Ryan Poles was the lead college scout when the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, and you know, Patrick Mahomes, if you remember during that draft, you know, nobody knew he was going to be what he became, what he is now. I mean, he was a guy coming out of Texas Tech where they were what, like 6-6 or 7-5 or something that year before. And
yeah, I think most people wanted Deshaun Watson. I wanted Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson was the fan favorite going into that draft. And then you had Trubisky and you had Mahomes and you know, various people had various opinions on the three of those guys. But I would trust this guy to make the right decisions with his team. I think he, you know, everything we've seen so far, he's gone about building this team the right way. And yeah, it's going to come down to what his gut feel is with all these big decisions, with the coach, with the quarterback, whatever, you know, however you want to look at it. And up to this point, I don't think there's any reason to doubt that he's going to make the best decision, you know, that he thinks in the moment.
Mike B threw this up here. I'm gonna. By the way, everyone, I love the question and comments coming in here. Mike B said, "I would be more confident in Poles if I knew for sure the decision he makes was truly his, and not just him following the groupthink of the NFL. And groupthink in the NFL is awful." That is a little bit of a worry, Sean. But I'll tell you what, Mike, I actually think the bigger concern I have, and I think the bigger issue in the NFL, is people don't make football decisions based on football. They make it based on self-preservation. And I'm not saying that Ryan Poles is going to do this. I don't know him well. I don't know him at all. But that is something really in any job, right? Like you're going to do like, I don't want Ryan Poles to make a decision on the quarterback if he feels like that extends his window as general manager. Like if he's like, well, if I keep Justin Fields and it doesn't go well, I'm going to lose my job after this year. That's and that is a very real human element. Like anyone who has to worry about losing their job, that type of thought process is going to creep in. I don't know Ryan Poles. Good GMs are able to put that to the side and make a business decision. We got to trust that he's going to be able to do that.
I don't think he's at a point where he's going to be thinking like that. Certainly, you do see that play out. You saw that the way the Pace years ended. You see that every year in the NFL. The Chargers this last year, all the money they spent to try to win with that group and that coaching staff. And I don't think Ryan Poles is at that point yet. Obviously, we don't know Kevin Warren's opinion on these things, but it certainly seems to me like those two have a good relationship, and I don't see them. I don't see Kevin Warren stepping in and making a change at GM. Certainly not now. I don't even know in the next year or two. I really feel like they're going to give him time to keep building this thing.
Usually by now, if that type of stuff is going to happen, like it's leaking into the public in terms of like little stories from behind the scenes, like people are laying the groundwork to get rid of someone, and we're not hearing that at all. Like there seemed to be a very supportive atmosphere at Hallis Hall still. So I don't think we're seeing changes. Definitely not at general manager. I don't think we're seeing changes on the coaching staff. I think they're safe at this point, unless something goes haywire in Green Bay on Sunday that really changes the narrative.
My gut feel on this, and this is just my opinion, this is just what I feel like is going to happen, is they're going to run it back with the whole staff. I mean, they're obviously going to have to make a couple hires. They need a defensive coordinator and, a couple other spots. Maybe some guys change. But I think overall, they're going to run this thing back with the whole staff. That's my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, but that's kind of the vibe that I get from this. And I think that could mean either way at quarterback. That could mean either way.
I absolutely agree. I think that's the route we are heading, though. Quickly, want to go ahead and say that Shaw Locals Bears Insider podcast is sponsored by Ken Nelson Auto Group, proudly serving the Sauk Valley area for over 55 years. Ken Nelson Auto Group offers 10 new vehicle franchises in one convenient location right here in Dixon, Illinois. Shop a great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles at kennelsonauto.com. Sean, let's spend about, 5-10 more minutes before we get you out of here, get you up to Hallis Hall. And, we got one more game. We got Bears Packers this week. 3:25 kickoff. We get the prime. We get Tony Romo and Jim Vance on the call on CBS, getting the royal treatment here for Bears Packers. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this game, mostly because I want to see Justin Fields and Jordan Love against each other again and see where they are from the beginning of the year to now.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to see, I'm most interested to watch this Bears defense against Jordan Love. And obviously the Bears defense has made great strides throughout the year. You've added Montez Sweat. You've gotten healthy in the secondary, and all those guys are playing really well together. I think they're going to give Jordan Love a much tougher game than he saw back in week 1. And even like Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, I mean, I know those guys are pros, but that was their first game in this system, their first game playing with these guys. And Tyreek Stevenson has gotten so much better the second half of the year. I think this Bears defense is going to be fun to watch against Jordan Love. That's sort of the area of the game where I'm gonna keep my eye on.
I tell you what, I think the Bears are going to win this game. I think I've said this a lot over the course of the season. I kind of think that the Packers are a paper tiger. They've certainly improved. Jordan Love's improved, but like this is a guy that's still completing well less than 60% of his pass attempts. He is living and dying by the long ball, the deep ball right now. I just don't see this Bears defense getting beat right now. I think you combine a really good secondary with a much improved pass rush, I think the Bears defense are going to have a lot of success against Jordan Love. And I frankly think the Packers defense is awful. So I think this sets up really, really well for the Bears this weekend.
I do. I agree with everything you're saying. I think it sets up really well. And I'm going to go back to what I said in week 1 before that week 1 game.
Oh, no.
I'm ready for the Bears to prove it against the Packers. I'm still picking the Packers in this game, especially because it's in Lambeau. You know, they haven't won in Lambeau since 2015. Man, every statistic with this matchup is with this rivalry is crazy. So what is that? That's 8+ years at this point. It was 2015. So that, you know, this is 2023 season, 8 years and change. I'm taking the Packers 24-20. I think it's going to be a game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win this thing.
I'm going to, I'm taking the same, just flipping it around, Sean. I'm taking the Bears 24-20. This is going to be a fun one this weekend. It's been a while since it's been not often you get a last week game of the year, or last game of the year where the Bears have been eliminated from playoff contention, but you still find a reason to really to look forward to tune it in.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun matchup. And look, Bears fans are going to be loving it if they can keep the Packers out of the playoffs. That's going to be a really fun way to end this season.
If Justin Fields follows up a really good game in Atlanta by going out there and torching the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau and they win, if you get one of those Justin Field performances where he's popping up and doing a little dance and the Bears come out with a nice little 27-21 win or something like that. Chicago's going to be acting like they won the Super Bowl, I think.
At this point, this is the Super Bowl, Kyle.
This is the Super Bowl. But all right, let's go ahead and get out of here, Sean. Thank you, everyone who joined us live this morning. We really appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave us a thumbs up. If you're watching this later, leave us a comment. We do go back and look at them. It helps other people find the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who joined us live this morning. For Sean Hammond, I am Kyle Nabors. Enjoy a final weekend of regular season football, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next week.